The lunchtime rush in this cafe in South London. Here, like most businesses around the country, there's the same pressures, rising costs, cash-strapped consumers, and now the disruption from strikes.
Right now, with the increases in the living costs and the strikes, it's probably the worst situation since COVID. So you've had your ups and downs for it, but with a bit of help now, I'd say this is the last thing you need at this time when you just felt things were getting back to normal almost.
It's a reminder that for many businesses, the real damage done by the industrial action, the transport strikes in particular, is what it does to the pre-Christmas rush. Does it push the economy deeper into the deep freeze? While economic output bounced in October, the Chancellor says it could be a brief respite before a tough winter.
Truthfully, it is likely to get worse before it gets better, which makes it even more difficult when we have big public sector strikes going on at the moment. But we have a plan in place.
The strikes, you say, will make it worse, though, will they?
Well, we have to be very careful. We recognise the position the unions hold is completely sincere because of the challenge of 11% inflation. On the other hand, we also have a sincerely held position, which is that we don't want to do anything that would lock in that high inflation rate.
The private sector pay is running at about 7%. Public sector pay is running at about 2%. There is an enormous gap that's opening up now.
Well, I don't say for a moment that these aren't very sincerely held positions.
But is it not fair for them to get closer to the private sector rate of inflation?
Well, the right answer in that situation, then, is to follow an independent process that comes to a fair balance between the worries people have about high inflation affecting their pay packet and the government's concern not to lock in high inflation for the long run.
What the Treasury's really worried about, aside from inflation, is that if they overrule those pay review bodies, you get a kind of snowball effect with different parts of the public sector saying, well, what about us? So instead, I'm told they're working on a patchwork of different deals, small, micro deals rather than a big number, which they hope can unthaw relations. As this winter of discontent begins, there is still talk of being able to build new deals with workers. But for the time being, talk is all it is. Ed Conway, Sky News.